having a lot of feedback issues here, so I'm going to ask Marisol to mute everybody at this point, and then just whenever you, as we go through roll call, please unmute your microphone. So if you can do that, Marisol, mute everybody, and then I will unmute mine and the chair as well. All right, Madam Chair, I think we're ready to go.
Okay, good. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order, and if we could do roll call.
All right, good morning. Again, the roll call is by alphabetical order, so I'm going to start with the chair and vice chair and then going down by alphabetical order. So Chair Lina Ortega.
Present.
Vice Chair Walter Miller.
Present.
Mayor Antonio Araujo. Mayor Ivy Avalos.
Present.
Thank you. Senator Cesar Blanco. Senator Joseph Cervantes. Trent Doolittle.
Good morning, present.
Representative Art Fierro. Representative Mary Gonzalez. Okay. City Manager Tommy Gonzalez.
Here.
Thank you. Representative Cassandra Hernandez.
Good morning, present.
Thank you. Yvette Hernandez.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Ileana Holguin.
Present. Good morning.
Thank you. Representative Raimundo Lara. Okay. Mayor Oscar Leeser.
Present and good morning.
Thank you. Mayor Manuel Leos.
Present.
Okay. Representative Sissy Lizarraga.
Present. Good morning.
Thank you. Chuck McMahon.
Good morning, present.
Thank you. Representative Joe Moody. Alderman Esteban Olivas. Representative Claudia Ordaz Perez. Okay. Norma Palacios.
Good morning, present.
Thank you. Mayor Javier Perea. Mayor Perea. Representative Henry Rivera.
Here.
Okay. Sam Rodriguez.
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Benjamin Romero. Okay. County Judge Ricardo Samaniego.
Buenos días, present.
Thank you. Ellen Smythe.
Present.
Thank you. Tomas Treviño.
Present, Eduardo. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you. And Mayor Diana Trujillo.
Present.
Thank you very much. We have quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and good morning to everybody. Is there anyone that's registered for public comment?
We don't have public comments registered.
All right, thank you. Then we'll move on to our agenda item number 1, and that's to approve the minutes of April 23rd, 2021. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. This is Ileana Holguin.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Second, Miller.
All right, now, is there anyone that, any item for, well, is there anyone that wants to discuss any item on the agenda? Okay, hearing none at this stage, then is there anyone who is not in favor of the motion and the second to approve? Motion passes. Now we can move on to item number 2.
So item number 2 is discussion and action to approve recommendations from the Transportation Project Advisory Committee. And there's only one item for two separate things. It is to provide a resolution of support for City of El Paso's projects to be submitted to the U.S. Department of Transportation's RACE grant program. A, Texas Alameda Corridor Transit-Oriented Development Reconstruction, and B, Upper Deck I-10 Planning Grant. And I believe we have the TPAC Chair, Greg McNichol, presenting the item.
Good morning. I'm Greg McNichol, Chair. The City of El Paso is requesting a resolution of support for the 2 RACE grants programs through the Department of Transportation. The city has a presentation they're going to make, so I'm going to turn the floor over to them for that.
Good morning. Yvette Hernandez with the City of El Paso. I have a brief presentation on the 2 items that we are asking.
Oh, that's all right. I just have a quick question. What's the login and password for our computer here at the office?
Sorry, someone's mic was hot.
I'm sorry. Is somebody asking a question at the meeting, or are they talking to somebody else? All right. Go ahead and proceed with your presentation.
Thank you. So as many of you might know, the RAISE grant is a derivative from the BUILD grant, which we applied for last year. And the acronym is Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity. And one of the things that we have noticed with this new administration and in changing the name is that they've added the criteria really focusing on sustainability and equity. So the projects that we are applying for, we want to make sure that we address this additional criteria. Next slide. So the projects, the eligibility are typically highway, bridge, public transportation, rail, port infrastructure, and intermodal. So the first paragraph you see is the focus of what the administration has added to change this to the RAISE grant, really looking at economic development in terms of good paying jobs, improving safety, transformative technology, and they specifically want us to address climate change and racial equity. Next slide. Next slide. So the first project that we are submitting for, we are submitting both a planning grant in addition to a separate construction grant application. So our planning grant deals with the deck plaza, and it is really in line with the strategic plan of the City of El Paso, which was approved by council. Looking at our high priority corridors, also looking at the different areas of MCA. So the strategic plan ties with both the deck plaza and also the construction grant along Alameda. Next slide. So the construction grant, the limits are from Texas at Kansas to Alameda. This will terminate where you see the roundabouts at Paisano. So we really want to focus on the complementary, the streets that feed into the Alameda corridor. So we're looking at pedestrian enhancements, which will include ADA ramps, mid-block crossings, hawk systems, landscaping. And so this is a really important project. One, TxDOT, as many of you are aware, have started and completed their Alameda corridor study. In addition to the City of El Paso, we have a corridor planning study along Alameda, and we just started our second study along this corridor back in April. So it complements the momentum that has already been started by both City of El Paso and TxDOT, and it also speaks to some of the elements that we've seen the Secretary of Transportation, Buttigieg, talk about with regards to complete streets. So we're in a different environment. We're no longer under Secretary Chow, Mayor Pete, as he was, fondly referred to. We have a really, really good opportunity here in getting projects completed at a really local level, but looking citywide. So the framework that we complete along Alameda can be applied to all of our high priority corridors within the City of El Paso. So speaking to the criteria, Smart Growth America has ranked El Paso as one of the 20th most dangerous. So we want to make sure that with this construction project, we're really addressing that concern. Economic competitiveness, all the small businesses that are along this corridor, quality of life. And so this really does speak to what I have listed on the strategic planning of the equitable justice, right? Making sure that this community has the accessibility to all the services that are within this vibrant corridor. State of good repair, replacing our infrastructure, making sure that we are being proactive in keeping the maintenance, and then also innovation, integrating smart corridor elements within this project. So this is a corridor that is very vibrant and ready to hit that transit-oriented development, as we've already seen with the Brio project that was recently completed. Next slide, please. And so the second application is the planning grant. So this is different in terms of construction. So now DOT has identified this will be the second year that they are allocating $30 million specifically to planning grants. Under Secretary Chow, she was real eager to see the ground being moved, the earthwork and shovels hitting the ground. But there is a requirement now that 30 million is associated with planning grants. So we want to make sure to capitalize on the opportunity. As we all know on this board, that I-10 is currently within their feasibility alternative study to make the much needed improvements to the segment 2 within our downtown area. So this is a really great opportunity to utilize this time during construction and the benefit of having the TxDOT project be able to build the supports for the deck plaza. So this does not deal with any of the alternatives with regards to widening, alternative lane. That is captured under the umbrella of the TxDOT. So this is really taking advantage of we're doing construction within our downtown area. We need to make sure that we plan this correctly, that we have the movement of people and goods, that we are able to be a tourist destination, to really have our economic development within our downtown area to increase, to have that connectivity between uptown, downtown, and also speaking to the equity portion that has been added here is, sometimes south of I-10, this area tends to be overlooked. So making sure that we have a walkable community, they have access to services. So all of this will be explored within the planning grant, looking at the criteria, as I made mention, of safety, state of good repair, economic competitiveness, and quality of life. And then one thing that I really do want to make mention of is this project can be successful with a broad range of stakeholders. And that is something that the DOT is excited to see, that there are partnerships that are created with the completion of projects, that there is one voice. They really understand the community is behind these projects, and it will be a return on their investment. So all of this will be captured within the planning grant, and it will be utilized for determining what will be the best concept for the city of El Paso with regards to the deck plaza. And so next slide, thank you. So requesting, sorry, this was the presentation for TPAC, but requesting support from the policy board to present these two projects to the Department of Transportation under the RAISE grant. Thank you. And I will take any questions if there are at this time.
Okay, I don't hear any questions. Oh, wait, somebody has just raised their hand up, but I can't see the person or the name. Is there someone that has a question? Okay, hearing none, then we can go ahead and is there a motion to approve the recommendation from TPAC in order to provide a resolution of support for the city those projects?
Motion to approve, Rivera.
Thank you.
Second,
Okay.
Lizarraga.
Any discussion? Hearing none, anyone not in favor of the motion?
Madam Chair, you do have a question by Mr. Trevino.
All right, go ahead, Tomas.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I would just like to abstain from voting on this issue.
Okay, anybody else that wants to abstain? Seeing none, then we have a motion. Is there anyone not in favor of the motion? Hearing no comments, then the motion is approved and we can move on to reports and discussion, item number 3.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So item number 3 is the external audit report of the El Paso MPO performed by the TxDOT Compliance Division. So I'll take this one, Madam Chair, and I'm going to be sharing my screen here. So just a little bit of history. The TxDOT Compliance Division, one of their duties is to audit all 23 MPOs now throughout the state of Texas. They do that on a regular basis. However, it's been a while since the El Paso MPO was audited. I don't know if it was, 7-8 years ago. And so we were notified of this back up before the holidays, but the real work really started in January. So I'm going to share my screen here. Just bear with me. So that, or actually, Gabby, can you go ahead and take over? There we go. Right. So what we're going to show you here is the report itself, and I basically I can summarize it, but it's in your backup information, and so you all can take a look at it. So the focus of the audit was really on all of the procedures that the MPO does administratively, how we handle the funds that we use for the operation, coming both from TxDOT and New Mexico DOT. Let me also say that the city of El Paso, as our fiscal agent, was also quite involved in this. And the bottom line, and if I can go into details if you all want, is that they did find a couple of things here and there, like in any audit, but they were very minor things. You can see them in your report, and again, we can go into detail, but I am very pleased and that whatever they found was minor. There were actually things that we had even noticed before the audit, so they were already fixed. However, in the documentation that they reviewed, these things came up. One of them was, for example, that we were using the incorrect indirect cost for what we charge, and actually that money goes to the city of El Paso to pay for the services that they provide to the MPO as a fiscal agent. So that was clarified. That resulted in us overbilling TxDOT by about $2,000, in that ballpark. So, $2,000 out of a budget of $2 million and change, it's minimal. And that was obviously corrected, and we're talking, figuring out with TxDOT how to correct that if we need to not refund, but make them whole on that $2,000. A couple of other procedural things like mileage reports. I think one of them was for about $20 or something like that lacked a signature, a second signature of approval. It was one of I don't know how many, and that one obviously fell through the cracks. Another situation where for a certain time cards at the time were signed and approved by the same person, and that was in the case of the executive director. And as you all know, in that transition when Roger Williams retired and before he also came on board, So obviously, it's not a clean thing to have the same person sign and approve, right? So we have a procedure now where that will not happen, right? So relatively minor things. One thing that I do want to mention that was really cool was that when they submitted to us the draft report for us to look at and respond, one of the things that they were finding was that per the contract that TxDOT, the MPO, and the city of El Paso have, the three-party agreement for operations and all that, it states that TxDOT has to approve all purchasing procedures for anything that the MPO purchases, right? Again, it has to follow federal guidelines and state guidelines because obviously we operate with federal money. So at the time, when they submitted the draft report, those procedures had not been approved, but they were under review. So we spoke here to the local district, the TxDOT district. They expedited the review. They approved them. So that finding didn't even make it to the final report. But again, I just want to stress that because it was really good coordination that we had with the city of El Paso folks, specifically with the purchasing department, Bruce Collins, as well as with the comptroller's office and the folks there with the city. So I'm really grateful for their help and participation. And again, overall, I'm very pleased that the findings were minor. Let me just say one more thing, and this is really a shout out to MPO staff, and very specifically to Georgie Nostroza, who is our business manager. George started here in February of 2020. So, even though he came from the city of El Paso, he understands and knows the city systems. But man, MPO management and all the grants and all that is a different animal. So he had to learn all that. And then, of course, a month into his employment here with the MPO, COVID starts. So he had to do all that remotely. So I think the fact that the audit came out pretty clean with relatively minor things is a testament to the good work that George has done here. And I just want to recognize him here publicly for that. So with that, I'm open to any questions you all may have. If you haven't taken a look at the report itself, please do so. And we can talk about it later also, anytime if you have any specific questions.
Any questions on the audit report? Okay, Eduardo, it looks like there are none, so we can now move to item 4.
All right, item 4 is a New Mexico CMAQ TAP call for projects. We have MPO staff with the presentation.
Good morning, Gabriela Lopez with the El Paso MPO. This is to announce that we have a project call for the New Mexico region of the El Paso MPO, and this is for the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement CMAQ program and also the Transportation Alternatives Program, TAP, for NMDOT funds. All the information is in the backup for the announcement. All the necessary materials and documents for the application are included, as well as the information for eligible projects and the points of contact for both NMDOT and El Paso MPO. I'm going to be responsible for the project call within the El Paso MPO, and there's my contact information in the backup as well. So if you have any questions for either project call, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we will be posting this and make it available in our website for everyone to access. Thank you.
What is the deadline in order to submit the application?
Oh, yes. The deadline to submit it to the El Paso MPO, there's two different deadlines. We have a mandatory deadline for a draft application for the MPO to review the projects, which is around June 30th for the CMAQ project call. And then the final deadline to submit the application with the complete packet is going to be September 30th. And then that application is going to be sent to NMDOT, and they will be reviewing the applications and scoring the projects. And it's very important to know that even though the final application doesn't need to be submitted until September 30th, the draft application packet that needs to be submitted by June is also a mandatory deadline with the El Paso MPO. And then for the TAP project call, which is for the transportation alternatives, it's the same dates. For the draft application is also June 30th. And for the final application, it's September 30th. Both projects calls are closing by 3 p.m. Mountain Time.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, then we can move on to item number 5.
I'm sorry, I was muted. All right, item 5 is New Mexico Transportation Project Fund, TPF, call for projects. Again, MPO staff, Gabby.
Good morning, Gabriela Lopez, El Paso MPO. This project call opened recently during our TPAC meeting within this month of May. So this is just an announcement to let everyone know that this project call has already opened. We did already have the first initial deadline to submit the draft application, which was this past Wednesday. We did receive various applications from different entities, and now we will be scheduling the mandatory review meetings between the El Paso MPO staff and NMDOT staff to review the potential grantees application and make sure that everything is good to go for the final submittal.
There is a question by Trent.
Madam Chair, thank you. Really not a question, but more of a comment for staff. I know that the applications that you received did not have the support letter from the New Mexico DOT. That is a delay on the DOT's part, on the district's part. Those were submitted to those 2 municipalities this morning. So I would respectfully ask that, I know that they met the deadline to submit those applications with the exception of that letter. I would ask that MPO staff consider that letter that they should get by the end of the day today as part of the packet, and no penalizing or consideration of that for those applications to those municipalities.
Okay.
Is that, Eduardo, is that something that can be done?
I believe so, but Gabby, I'll defer to you.
Yes, no, definitely. And the good thing about the way that our timeline works is the deadline for May 19th is a draft application. So they do need to submit a draft application, but it's okay if it's not complete or if the letter was not finalized. So we will be accepting all the applicants' submissions, even if they did not have the finalized letter.
Thank you, Gabby. Any other questions or comments?
Madam Chair, if I may, just one more comment. I know this timeline was extremely aggressive. That was part of the legislative language. Even the DOT didn't have much authority or capability to modify that. But I want to applaud those municipalities that quickly got their stuff put together. It's for shovel-ready projects. This will be an annual program from this point on. But MPO staff has done an excellent job working with our partners, given this extremely quick timeline. So I just want to applaud Eduardo and his staff as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question? And thank you, Trent, for the for the comment. But the funding for this program comes all state funds, right? There is no federal money involved in this, correct?
Madam Chair, Eduardo, that is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we can now move on to item 6 on the agenda.
Okay. Item 6 is fiscal year 2022-2023 Unified Planning Work Program, UPWP, 30-day public involvement. Again, Gabby.
Good morning, Gabriela Lopez with the El Paso MPO. This is just a report that we are currently during our 30-day public comment period for our fiscal years 22 to 23 UPWP. We did already have our first virtual public meeting that was hosted on May 12th And we will be having our second virtual public meeting on May 25th from 4 to 5 p.m. We do have all the information available in our website to review the draft of the document. And also we will be posting in our social media the recording of the meeting that was held on May 12th. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you would like to provide any comments, you can do so through our various social media, through our website, or through the email that is provided in the meeting presentation for the virtual meeting. The public review period is going to end on June 3rd, and we will be bringing back this item for approval by the Transportation Policy Board in our June meeting.
Maybe I don't see any hands raised, so we can move on to item 7.
Right. Item 7, RMS 2050 Travel Demand Models Status Report. Again, this is MPO staff, and Claudia Valles will be presenting. Claudia.
Good morning, Claudia Valles of Paso MPO, Transportation Planner. This time, MPO staff don't have a presentation, but we can report that work and progress on the new TDM continues. We have been focused on the master network, which is currently being added to projects for the 2022 forecast year. Thank you.
So again, just to emphasize that the TDM, of course, is a very important tool and is part of the development of the long range plan, which we're also pretty active, and we're pretty much on schedule. So just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that we're moving forward with our travel demand model, which is such an important tool for us for analysis.
Thank you, Eduardo, for telling us that. We can now move on to item 8.
Okay. Item 8 is Regional Mobility Strategy RMS 2020 Project Development Status Report. So again, this is a monthly report of all progress made on the RMS 2020 priority projects. Not much to report other than that projects are moving fairly well. A lot of emphasis right now, obviously, on the projects that are scheduled for letting in fiscal year 21. But they all seem to be pretty much on track to let on time. Again, I do not remember if I already mentioned that for the city of El Paso, they let the CBD4 project earlier this year, and then the Rojas Drive project that had some air quality, steps to be taken, but those have been completed on time. So I think we're on schedule for that. Also the TxDOT projects, there's a couple of them. The Loop 375 at Sergeant Major, pretty much on track, and the I-10 Eastlake to FM 1281 Horizon Boulevard, also pretty much on track. And then finally, just to mention quickly, we had a really good meeting. Was it yesterday or the day before with the city of Socorro also to take a good look at how progress is being made on the Nuevo Hueco Tanks extension and also the arterial one, although that one hasn't been scheduled for construction yet, but they've got federal money or MPO money for engineering. So we had a really good meeting with them, and progress is being made. So that's a really good piece of news that we heard earlier this week. So with that, again, the documentation is in your backup. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask us.
Okay, looks like there are no questions on the RMS projects, and we have the last item on the agenda, which is the executive director's report, and there is part A and part B.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So for the executive director's report, I included the American Jobs Plan as a placeholder just to see if there were any last minute developments or anything that would be worth discussing or bringing up to your attention. I don't have anything major other than what we hear in the news that there's a lot of discussions on the infrastructure plan overall, but more importantly for us, which is the transportation piece. I do not have much to report on that, but again, Madam Chair, if you want to, I don't know, give the opportunity for others to discuss, happy to do that.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on that? I don't hear any, Eduardo, so should we move on to the UTP?
Yeah, for the UTP, again, this is just a brief comment that right now, as we speak, this is a critical time where TxDOT and the commission are finalizing the draft UTP for fiscal year 22. As we have mentioned many times, it is important for them to hear from the El Paso stakeholders to ensure that let them know that we have our priorities very well established and to put some pressure on getting our projects funded. So again, anything that you all can do to communicate that, this is the time to do it. Perhaps next month it will probably be too late. Once the draft is put out. So, this is a sort of like a reminding everybody that this is the time to let them know that we're very, very, interested and we need the funding for our projects. So with that, that's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and let me add on to it. I think that everything that Eduardo has said is very true. There's been a very unified effort to let the commission know in terms of what the priority projects are for this community, and that is going to continue until, I would say, next month, until we know what actually is on the UTP. And we're hoping, but we do not yet know whether all of this effort will come to any kind of fruition on getting any positive, funding on our priority projects. So we will find out next month. But I do want to thank everybody that has been involved in the process and has spoken in favor of what the priorities are for this community, for our district. And that is the last item on our agenda. There has been a change with regard to the next regularly scheduled meeting, and we are now set to meet on June the 25th. Anything else that you want to add, Eduardo?
No, I mean, just mechanically, the June meeting was scheduled on June the 18th, and that's the way that it appeared on the schedule that was approved, months ago. However, we realized that June 18th is when the Juneteenth holiday is placed on the calendar. So what we will do is send a cancellation notice for the 18th, for the meeting on the 18th, and then send a notice for a special TPB meeting on the 25th. Okay, so mechanically, that's the way that we have to do it. So instead of having the meeting on the 18th, we'll have it on the 25th.
All right. Thank you. Well, then, seeing no other item on the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
A second? Anyone not in favor? Then we are adjourned. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.